I'm going to read a couple of parts from the first chapter in I Spy, You Spy, They Spy about Mata Hari. Okay. The very name of Mata Hari has become synonymous with spying, espionage, intrigue, and sensuality. The woman who would adopt this name was born Margaretha Zell on August 7, 1876 in Leeuwarden, Holland. I might be mispronouncing something. I don't speak Dutch. She was the second child of Adam Zell and his wife Ante van der Meulen, and would become the only girl in a family of 4 boys. Twin boys were to follow Emgriet, as she was familiarly called. In a family and society known for fair-skinned, blonde, blue-eyed folk, the pretty Emgriet was noticeable for her thick black hair, black eyes, and easily tanned olive complexion. Neighbors thought she had either Jewish or Javanese blood. The latter was suggested because Java was a part of the Dutch East Indies. Okay. Now, interestingly, Mata Hari, when she eventually became an exotic dancer and a high-class courtesan or hooker, would often tell people or tell men that she had to wear her breastplates, that she were part of her act, to bed. Okay? And the reason she gave was that a man in a jealous rage had bitten off her nipples. The truth was, she was flat-chested. She didn't want them to know that simple fact. Okay. Now, I'm going to read a little excerpt from a segment called The Night of Horror. And she was married at that time, not known as Mata Hari. And she lived in Java with her husband. The marriage was troubled because he was jealous and often mean, her husband Rudolph. But the night of horror was something very special and especially bad. Their world came crashing down in a single night of horror. It was June 27, 1899, and Emgriet had settled down to her comfortable bed for the night. Suddenly she heard terrible screams of agony from the children's nursery. She leapt up from her bed and raced up the stairs to their room. The room stank of vomit, and both youngsters were soaked in it. Moreover, the vomit itself was a bizarre black color. The children convulsed in pain, their bodies twisting grotesquely as they cried and shrieked. Weeping and terrified, Emgriet hugged her vomit-covered children to her, while a frantic Rudolph ran from the house in search of a Dutch doctor. Little Norman was dead by the time the physician arrived. The doctor pulled the sick Non, that was his nickname, from her mother's grasp. Oh, no, that was the daughter. The daughter was Non. The little boy was Norman. I don't remember everything perfectly. In order to take the child to the hospital. The daughter was saved and eventually made a full recovery. Both children had apparently been poisoned. No one ever proved who had done the dreadful deed, but it was widely rumored that it was a perverse retaliation by someone, possibly a servant, that Rudolph had wronged. They were not pulled together in their shared trauma. Each sank into a separate depression. And it caused more problems in the marriage as the husband Rudolph blamed Margaret for the death of their son. He would say, "Bloodsucker, filthy beast, Norman is dead because of you." Okay. Now, one of the interesting things that happened is before she got into the spying that would lead to her reputation, she fell in love with a young man who was much younger than she was. And in fact, He was about the age that Norman would have been if Norman had survived. And so it's not hard. You don't have to be a Freudian to realize that her love for him was partly based on the love for the son that she had lost. I really hope you'll read this. I Spy, You Spy, They Spy by Denise Snow. Thanks.